Imagine this. You're holding a simple 1989 Washington quarter. Ordinary, common, forgettable. But what if I told you that one of these quarters, the ones minted in Denver with that small D mark under Washington's neck, could be worth up to $1.2 million? That's right. A single coin that millions of people have spent, lost, and ignored might just be your ticket to a life-changing fortune. But history proves that fortune often hides in plain sight. In 1989, millions of Washington quarters rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint. Most were perfect, shiny, balanced, and ready for circulation. But deep in that year's production run, something unusual happened. A tiny error, a misalignment, a shift in metal or strike that would create one of the rarest modern quarters in U.S. history. A mistake so small that the human eye might never notice it, until the right collector came along. Think about that. For decades, people have spent these same quarters without a second glance. Gas stations, vending machines, grocery stores. You may have handled a $1 million coin without even realizing it. That's the mystery that drives collectors. The thrill that one ordinary coin could change everything. That let's rewind for a moment. The 1989 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, one of America's most trusted coin facilities. Over 896 million were produced that year, nearly a billion coins. With so many made, you might think they're all worthless. But that's where the story gets interesting. Among those hundreds of millions, only a few slipped through the cracks. Quarters struck on the wrong planchet, double dies, off-center errors, and full-strike misprints that escaped inspection. These are the coins that have collectors whispering and dealers searching with magnifying glasses under bright lamps. Now picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, a small pile of old coins in front of you. Maybe they came from your father's drawer or your grandmother's jar of change. You pick up a 1989 D quarter, just another old coin. But something about it catches your eye. The color, the thickness, the strike. Take a closer look. The first thing you want to find is that mint mark. The D beneath Washington's neck, small, clean, and distinct. If it's missing or looks oddly placed, your heart should skip a beat. Then, look at the date. 1989 should be sharp, but some rare pieces have what collectors call a double die, where the numbers or letters appear slightly doubled or shadowed. Under magnification, this effect is unmistakable, like a ghost image from a parallel minting universe. Another clue lies in the edge. Most quarters from 1989 have a consistent copper-nickel ring, but a few rare ones were struck on silver planchets, blanks left over from older coin runs. If your 1989 D quarter has a solid silver edge instead of the usual copper stripe, stop everything. You could be holding a $1 million piece of American history. Now, let's talk about why it's worth so much. It's not just rarity. It's the story, the mystery of how such a coin escaped the mint, the thrill of survival against all odds, and the passion of collectors who dream of owning a piece of perfection wrapped in imperfection. Every collector knows, the rarer the story, the higher the price. Imagine finding one of these quarters and sending it to be graded. The experts at PCGS or NGC examine it, confirm the error, and give it a near-perfect mint state grade. Within days, the coin world erupts. Collectors bid furiously, and the price climbs past $1 million. That's not fantasy. That's reality for those who pay attention, who search, who refuse to believe that all change is just change. What if my 1989 D quarter isn't worth millions, but just a few $100s? Even then, you've already beaten the odds. Some minor die cracks, rim errors, or light off-center strikes can still fetch anywhere from $50 to $500. Not bad for a coin that's been sitting in a jar for 36 years. But there's something deeper here, something emotional. Coins are more than metal. They're memories. They've passed through hands that built America, through moments that shaped lives. Each scratch, each shine, tells a story. And sometimes, those stories are written in gold, or in this case, in nickel and copper worth $1 million. Search old rolls of quarters from the bank. Check inherited collections. Visit estate sales and yard markets. And always bring a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Patience is your greatest weapon. Because while most people scroll through their phones, a handful of collectors are quietly searching for their $1 million miracle. Imagine the moment of discovery. You're sitting there, coin in hand, and your eyes catch that strange double strike or off-metal gleam. Your breath stops. Your pulse races. You know what you found. You realize that this small, forgotten coin, something people tossed into jars and pockets for decades, just changed your life forever. And it's not just about the money. It's about validation, that you saw what others didn't, that you believe there was treasure hiding in plain sight. Because that's what collecting really is: faith in the unnoticed, devotion to the details, and the courage to look closer when everyone else looks away. You see, the 1989 D. Washington quarter isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden potential. It reminds us that greatness often hides behind the ordinary, that a simple, forgotten object can hold $1 million secret. If you're patient enough to find IT'S tonight, open that old drawer. Pour out that jar of change. Let the coins clatter and shine under the light. Hold each one up to your eye. Feel the weight of possibility. Somewhere among them, maybe even right now, lies your miracle, a tiny piece of American metal worth more than you ever imagined. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple 1990 D. Washington quarter. Just 25 cents, right? But what if I told you that one of these quarters recently sold for over $1.3 million? A coin so rare, so mysterious, that most collectors don't even know it exists. This isn't just another story about loose change. This is a story about fate, luck, and the unbelievable hidden value in the most ordinary places. For decades, the 1990 D quarter has circulated quietly in everyday life, passing through gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines, never drawing attention. Yet one small minting mistake turned an ordinary coin into a life-changing discovery. Somewhere, right now, there could be another one, waiting for someone like you to notice. Let's go back to Denver, 1990. The U.S. Mint was producing millions of Washington quarters. Everything was business as usual until something went wrong. A few dies, meant for proof coins, were accidentally mixed into the regular minting process. Proof dies are special. They're polished, refined, and meant for collector's editions. When used in regular circulation, they create coins with an unexpected mirror-like shine, deep frosted details, and sharper edges. Most were melted down or lost in circulation, but a handful escaped. Years later, one of these 1990 D quarters resurfaced, perfectly struck, in brilliant, uncirculated condition. It stunned the coin world. Experts couldn't believe how it had survived untouched. The appraisal was jaw-dropping. The final sale? Over $1.3 million. Take a deep breath, because here's where it gets real. That kind of mistake doesn't just happen once. Every collector knows that when one error coin is found, there are likely others, lost, forgotten, or hidden in everyday hands. Now, here's how you can tell if you're holding one of these rare treasures. Pick up any 1990 quarter with the D mint mark. You'll find that tiny D on the front of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Look closely under a bright light. The first clue is in the shine. The genuine $1 million 1990 D quarter has a mirror-like surface, unlike the dull gray of normal coins. The fields are smooth, the edges crisp, the lettering sharp. The word Liberty appears slightly bolder, and the spacing between letters might seem tighter. Turn the coin over. Look at the eagle on the back. The tail feathers on the rare one are deeply defined, almost like they've been carved. The wings appear layered, with extra depth and texture. Use a magnifier if you can. These details are what separate a pocket change quarter from $1 million masterpiece. But it's not just looks that matter. Condition is everything. If your 1990 D quarter has minimal scratches, full mint luster, and appears untouched, you could be holding something extraordinary. Send it to a professional grader like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and certify the coin. That small step could transform your 25-cent find into $1 million payday. Think about this. Someone out there once spent one of these coins on a soda, never realizing they just gave away a fortune. It might have passed through hundreds of hands, dropped in parking lots, hidden under couch cushions, or collected dust in an old jar. And now, maybe it's sitting in yours. Every collector dreams of that moment, when a simple coin reveals its secret. It's more than money. It's history, mystery, and destiny combined. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1990, but only a few, maybe just a handful, were struck with proof dies. Those few coins became legends. Imagine the heart-pounding rush of seeing that glint of perfection under a flashlight, realizing what you found. One collector described it as the moment time stopped. "I just froze," he said. "It looked too good to be real." That single coin changed his life forever. Reset your focus for a moment. Look again at your own coins. Have you ever really looked at them? Most people glance, then move on. But the people who take a second look, they're the ones who find the treasure. Because rare coins don't announce themselves. They hide, quietly, patiently, waiting for eyes that care enough to notice. Now picture this. You're at home, sorting through an old jar of change. Your fingers stop on a shiny 1990 quarter. It feels different. You tilt it under the light. The face of George Washington gleams like a mirror. You flip it, and the eagle almost seems to lift off the metal. Your heart races. You know this isn't normal. You've just found something that most people will never even believe exists. You rush to get it graded. Weeks later, the confirmation arrives. Genuine proof, strike error, Denver Mint, near perfect condition. Appraised value, over $1 million. That's the moment everything changes. That's not luck. That's awareness, curiosity, and the courage to look closer. You might be wondering, how does something this valuable slip through the cracks? The truth is, the US Mint produces billions of coins every year. Even with the most advanced systems, human errors can happen. A die swap, a minting test, or a production glitch can lead to a handful of unique coins escaping into the world. For collectors, those mistakes are pure gold. Now, let's bring it home. Every coin you touch tells a story. Some stories are worth a few cents, others, a few $1,000,000. The difference is in the details. The next time you get change back from a store, don't rush to spend it. Hold it up to the light. Feel the weight. Look for that tiny D. Look for the shine that doesn't fade. Because once in a lifetime, someone finds a coin that rewrites their future. And history repeats itself in the most ordinary moments. Somewhere out there, another 1990 proof strike quarter is waiting to be found. Maybe it's sitting in an old coffee can, maybe in a desk drawer, maybe in your very hand right now. This isn't just about coins. It's about what they represent, opportunity hiding in plain sight, the thrill of discovery, the reminder that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value. So tonight, when you go home, check your change. Look closely, because the next great American coin discovery might not happen in a museum. It might happen in your kitchen. Imagine this, a regular 1979 Washington quarter, the kind you've seen your whole life, resting quietly in a jar of spare change, and it turns out to be worth $1.4 million. Sounds impossible, right? But hidden among millions of ordinary coins, there's one version of the 1979 D Mint Mark quarter that could change your life forever. Let's start with a truth that's almost too strange to believe. Sometimes the most valuable coins aren't ancient, gold, or rare by design. They're ordinary coins struck with a mistake so small, so mysterious, that even seasoned collectors overlook them for decades. The 1979 D Washington quarter is one of those coins. Minted in Denver, this coin was supposed to be just another piece of pocket change. But something went wrong, a rare minting error that turned a 25-cent piece into a $1 million treasure. In 1979, the Denver Mint was producing hundreds of millions of quarters. But one die, one specific tool that strikes the design onto the blank coin, was slightly misaligned. The result was a faint double strike on Washington's profile and an almost invisible doubling on the date and lettering. Most people never noticed. Most people spent them without a second thought. But that error, that tiny imperfection, created one of the most sought-after Washington quarters in U.S. coin history. Now imagine you find one. You're at home, rolling coins for fun or going through your dad's old change jar. You pick up a dull, dirty 1979 D quarter. You notice something odd. Washington's eye looks slightly shadowed. The letters seem thicker. The rim is off-center. It's not just a dream. It's real. Collectors across America are hunting this exact coin. Some experts believe fewer than 10 of these double-struck Denver Mint quarters exist today. The last verified sale shocked the numismatic community. Over $1.4 million paid for a single coin that once bought a gumball. Let's reset for a moment. How can you tell if your 1979 D quarter is valuable? First, look for the D Mint mark, located just to the right of Washington's hair ribbon on the obverse. That small D stands for Denver. Then, With a magnifying glass, inspect the date, 1979. If you notice any doubling, a shadow effect, or a slightly raised ridge around the numbers, that's your first clue. Next, look at the word Liberty. On the rare $1 million version, you may see light doubling or ghosting on the letters, especially the B and E. Flip the coin over. On the reverse, check the eagle's wings and the lettering United States of America. If those letters look thicker than usual or slightly blurred, your hands might be holding a fortune. But here's what makes this coin so fascinating. Most examples have gone unnoticed for over 40 years. Every year, new discoveries pop up, often from regular Americans who never imagined their spare change could be worth a small fortune. Retired factory workers, school teachers, and even kids cleaning out old coin jars have stumbled onto life-changing finds. Now, think about the timing. The late 1970s were a turbulent time at the U.S. Mint. New machinery, shifting metal compositions, and overworked presses meant quality control wasn't always perfect. Some coins came out slightly off-center or with doubled images. Most were melted or recycled. But a few slipped through, quietly entering circulation. And those few have become legends. Weight matters. The correct coin should weigh around 5.67 grams. If your coin feels slightly heavier or lighter, or the edge looks uneven, it could be an early striking error. Also, listen, a true copper-nickel quarter from that year makes a higher-pitched ring when dropped lightly on a table. A duller tone can mean a planchet variation, which is another sign of rarity. Collectors say that the 1979 D Washington quarter is a symbol of hope, proof that wealth can be hiding in plain sight. Because behind every discovery is a story of someone who dared to look closer. One man in Texas found his rare quarter while sorting coins for his grandchildren. Another in Ohio discovered his in a parking meter collection. Each story starts the same way. I never thought it could be worth anything. Take a moment and imagine the feeling. You send your coin for grading. Days pass. The report comes back. Mint error. Double struck. MS-67. You realize you're holding one of the rarest modern quarters ever minted. Within weeks, collectors start calling. Auction houses compete. A single 25-cent coin becomes the key to financial freedom. But here's the mystery that still keeps experts awake at night. No one knows exactly how many of these error quarters escaped the mint. Some believe fewer than 10 survive. Others think a small batch may still be circulating. Maybe one is tucked away in a coin album, forgotten in an attic. Maybe one sits right now in your change jar. Let's pause again. Think about how many quarters you've held in your lifetime. Hundreds, maybe thousands. What if one of them, right now, could pay off your mortgage, buy your dream car, or secure your retirement? The thrill of the hunt isn't just about the money. It's about the discovery, the realization that something so ordinary can be extraordinary. And if you're wondering where to start, begin with your old coins. Focus on 1979 quarters with a D mint mark. Examine each one carefully. Look for the slightest doubling, the faintest rim distortion, the gentlest shadow on Washington's face. Even the smallest clue could mean the difference between a 25-cent piece and $1 million treasure. It's not luck, it's curiosity. The people who find these coins aren't magicians or millionaires. They're people just like you, who decided to look a little closer. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. Every coin has a story. Every scratch, every mark, every shine of metal carries a piece of history. Now, here's something most collectors don't talk about. The 1979 D quarters connection to the bicentennial designs that came before it. The mint was transitioning from the special 1776 to 1976 quarters back to regular issues, which meant some dies were retooled, reused, or mistakenly paired. This is how certain errors happened. Dies from different runs were used together, causing subtle misalignments that today make collectors' hearts race. There's also speculation that one 1979 D die was overpolished, removing fine details and creating a ghostly, almost ethereal look to Washington's hair. That variation alone can make a coin worth thousands. Combine that with a double strike, and you're talking 6 or even 7 figures as the years pass. These coins only become more valuable. Demand grows, supply shrinks, and each new discovery makes headlines. That's why experts say if you have a 1979 D quarter, don't spend it, study it. Under a magnifying glass, under different light, under hope itself. Because one small detail could transform your future. So tonight, when you get home, open that old jar of coins. Pour them out. Let the sound of metal fill the room. That soft clinking could be the sound of opportunity. Look at each quarter, not with casual eyes, but with the eyes of a treasure hunter. Because sometimes, fortune doesn't shout. It whispers. And it might be whispering from the face of George Washington himself. Every collector has their what-if story. That one coin they almost spent, almost ignored, almost lost. Don't let your story end that way. Because somewhere out there, a simple 1979 D Washington quarter is worth $1.4 million. And the next person to find it could be you. Imagine this. You're holding a simple 1995 D Washington quarter, the same kind you've spent hundreds of times without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of these coins, struck quietly in the Denver Mint nearly 3 decades ago, could be worth over $1.5 million today? Let that sink in. A coin worth more than most homes in America, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and a bit of luck to find it. The year was 1995. The U.S. Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Washington quarters. Ordinary pocket change. But something happened inside the Denver Mint. A mistake, or perhaps a miracle, that would change everything. Somewhere among those mountains of silver-colored coins, a few pieces left the press carrying something different. A sharper strike, a double impression, a faint but undeniable mark of rarity. Most people never noticed. They jingled the coins in their pockets, fed them into vending machines, and forgot. But collectors, the ones who looked closer, they began to whisper that a 1995 D quarter with an error so rare, so unique, that it could fetch over $1 million under the right conditions. Most dismissed it as fantasy. But then came the photographs, the grading reports, and finally, the sales. Real coins commanding life-changing prices. Every coin tells a story. But this one tells a story of missed chances, of hidden fortune, and of the power of paying attention. Because this 1995 D quarter doesn't scream its value. It hides it in the smallest details, the kind only a true collector can spot. First, check the mint mark. The D under Washington's neck stands for the Denver Mint. That's your starting point. But don't stop there. Flip the coin under a bright light. Look closely at the date, 1995. If you notice doubling on the numbers, especially on the 1 or the 9, you may be holding something extraordinary. Now, examine Washington's profile. Is there extra thickness on the letters and Liberty? Is "In God We Trust" slightly doubled, as if shadowed by a ghost image? These are signs of a doubled die, one of the most coveted minting errors in U.S. coin history. Focus on the eagle's feathers on the reverse side. A strong, well-defined strike might suggest it came from a special die, a proof-like finish that slipped into general circulation by mistake. Imagine holding one of these coins. You'd feel the same metal everyone else does, but its true worth, $1.5 million, is invisible until you see it for what it is. But let's rewind for a second. Picture the Denver Mint floor in 1995, the machines roaring, the dies clashing, the heat of thousands of coins striking metal every minute. It was chaos, precision, and history all happening at once. And somewhere in that storm, a single press produced a coin that didn't quite belong, that it said that only a handful escaped detection. Fewer than 10, according to experts who've studied die rotations, minting pressure, and microscopic doubling patterns. Each one verified by professional graders. Each one now insured for millions. With curiosity, a magnifying glass, a lamp, and a few coins spread across the table. But every great discovery starts with one coin, one moment, where you realize the impossible might be true. The story of the 1995 D quarter is not just about luck. It's about persistence. Collectors who spent hours, days, even years searching through rolls of coins, chasing whispers of hidden treasure. Some gave up, others kept looking, and one found it. That discovery changed everything. It proved that miracles still happen, even in something as ordinary as spare change. And it set off a wave of treasure hunters across the country, digging through jars, drawers, and car cup holders, searching for the next million-dollar coin. That if you want to identify the 1995 D quarter worth a fortune, you must know the details. Start by checking the weight. It should be exactly 5.67 grams. Any significant variation could mean a minting error. Next, use a magnifier to look for a double die on the obverse, the front. Check the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Look for extra thickness or shadows in the lettering. Then, inspect the coin's edge. Is it perfectly reeded, or are there breaks or smooth sections? Some rare 1995 D quarters were struck slightly off-center, giving them additional value. Finally, study the luster. Some of the million-dollar varieties were struck from highly polished dies, giving them a mirror-like shine, almost proof-like, a clear sign they were never meant for circulation. Take your time. Because every coin tells a secret to the person patient enough to listen. A single mistake at the mint turning an everyday coin into a life-changing discovery. That's the kind of story that makes numismatics not just a hobby, but a calling. Every few minutes, another collector somewhere in America is checking their change. A cashier counting quarters, a retiree sorting coins for fun, a kid searching through an old coin jar. None of them know that the next coin they touch could be worth over $1 million. This isn't fantasy. It's reality for the lucky few who found theirs. And if history has taught us anything, it's that lightning can strike twice. Collectors are now scouring coin rolls from banks, estate sales, and flea markets, looking for that same doubling, that same elusive Denver Mint error. The chances are small, but the payoff, unimaginable. And that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not just about money, it's about hope. The hope that something incredible could be hiding in the ordinary. That the next great treasure might already be in your hands. So tonight, after you finish watching this, go grab your change jar. Turn on a lamp. Line up your quarters. Pick out the ones with that tiny D under Washington's neck. Because one of them, just one, might be the 1995 D $1 million coin. And if you find it, your life changes forever. This isn't about luck. It's about awareness. About looking closer at the world around you. Because sometimes, the greatest treasures aren't buried underground or locked in vaults. They're sitting quietly in your home, waiting to be noticed. So, next time you get a quarter in your hand, stop for a second. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Check the details. Because one small difference can mean the difference between 25 cents and $1 million. The most extraordinary things often hide behind the most ordinary faces. The 1995 D Washington quarter is proof of that it's more than metal. It's mystery. It's history. It's a piece of the American dream. A reminder that fortune can find anyone who dares to look a little closer. Imagine holding a simple 1968 Washington quarter in your hand. A coin so common, so ordinary, that most people wouldn't look twice. But what if I told you that one of these coins, a 1968 no mint mark quarter, could be worth $1.6 million? That's right. A small piece of silver-colored metal that might have passed through your fingers countless times could secretly hold the key to a fortune. Every year, millions of quarters roll out of the U.S. Mint. They clink into vending machines, slip into pockets, vanish into couch cushions. But in 1968, something unusual happened. Deep inside the minting process, a handful of coins were struck without the letter that reveals where they were made. No D for Denver. No S for San Francisco. Just a smooth, blank space beside Washington's hairline. A tiny omission that transformed a regular coin into one of the rarest treasures in American history. Think about that for a moment. A mistake so small it could fit under your fingernail. Yet today, that tiny minting error could turn an ordinary coin into $1 million discovery. Some call it luck. Others call it destiny. But for collectors, it's the kind of story that fuels their obsession. The dream that one day, they'll find the coin that changes everything. A man in Ohio was going through his late father's coin jar. Dozens of quarters stacked in neat little rolls, untouched for decades. He wasn't expecting much, just pocket change and memories. But as he flipped one over, something felt off. No mint mark. The shine was different, the rim sharper, the details clearer. He sent it for grading, and weeks later, the news came back. A 1968 no mint mark Washington quarter, mint state condition, worth over $1 million. That's when people started paying attention. The story spread across collector forums, coin shows, and local news. Was it a myth? A rumor? Or could more of these hidden treasures still be out there, hiding in plain sight? Let's slow down. If you're watching this right now, you need to know how to identify the real deal. Start with the obverse, the front of the coin. Look at George Washington's portrait. On the right side, just beneath the thick curl of his hair, you'll usually see a small letter, D, S, or sometimes P. But on this coin, there's nothing. Smooth metal. No mark at all. That's your first clue. Next, turn it over. The reverse should display the bold eagle, wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. The details should be crisp, with sharp edges and no signs of fading. The date should read 1968. Check the rim. Perfectly struck, no doubling, no signs of wear. If all of that matches, your heart should start racing. Because you might be holding a once-in-a-lifetime coin. Still, not every no-mint mark quarter from 1968 is a treasure. Most come from the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't use mint marks that year. So what separates a $1,000,000 coin from an ordinary one? It's the error itself. In rare cases, a San Francisco or Denver die was used incorrectly, producing proof quality strikes without the identifying letter. These coins have a deep mirror finish, razor-sharp details, and a flawless surface. They don't just look different, they feel different. Collectors who've seen one say the coin almost glows. It catches the light in a way normal quarters never do. Every angle reflects history, precision, and mystery. And when one appears at auction, the room goes silent. Everyone knows what's at stake. The bidding starts low, then skyrockets. Thousands, hundreds of thousands. Then, finally, over $1,000,000. For a simple coin that could have been sitting in a desk drawer for 50 years, that's nothing short of extraordinary. It's not just about money. It's about discovery, the thrill of uncovering something the world forgot. How many quarters have passed through your hands without a second thought? Maybe they jingled in a tip jar or fell between couch cushions. But what if one of them, one single 1968 no-mint mark quarter, was the one worth $1.60 million? Coin collectors know that every small detail matters. Look for coins with deep luster, sharp design, and full strike. No scratches, no discoloration. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Even a small bump in condition can mean the difference between a few dollars and a life-changing sum. And here's something most people don't realize. The 1968 quarters were minted during a transition period. The U.S. Mint was shifting its production techniques, and that led to inconsistencies in die use and planchet quality. A few rare coins slipped through, including those proof strikes missing the mint mark entirely. Those are the ones collectors chase, and those are the ones worth millions. Somewhere in America, right now, a forgotten box of coins sits in a basement. Dusty, untouched, filled with the sound of loose change. Inside could be one of these legendary quarters, quietly waiting for someone to recognize its worth. It doesn't sparkle like gold, but its value comes from rarity and the story it carries. Every coin tells a story. The 1968 no-mint mark quarter tells one of chance, mystery, and fortune. It's a reminder that life-changing opportunities don't always come wrapped in gold or silver. Sometimes, they're hiding in plain sight, disguised as the most ordinary things. Because for the lucky few who've discovered these coins, it's not just about the money. It's about the moment their ordinary world became extraordinary. The next time you empty your pockets, take a closer look. The truth is, not all treasure is buried. Some of it jingles quietly in the palm of your hand, waiting for the right person to notice, and a 1968 no-mint mark Washington quarter could be that treasure. The difference between a coin worth 25 cents and one worth over $1,000,000 could be a single missing letter. A detail so small most people never see it. But you, now you know what to look for. Check every coin. Examine every detail. Because history doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Imagine a coin worth $1.7 million hiding in plain sight. Not in a vault, not in a museum, but maybe in your pocket, in a forgotten jar, or mixed in with the loose change on your dresser. The 1965 no-mint mark Washington quarter dollar, a coin most people overlook, could be one of the most valuable treasures in American coin history. Now picture this. It's 1965, and the U.S. Mint is in chaos. Silver prices are skyrocketing. The government decides to remove silver from quarters and dimes completely. But in the confusion, a few silver planchets, leftover 1964 blanks, accidentally get struck with the brand new 1965 design. The result? A handful of 1965 quarters made of 90% silver instead of copper nickel. They look nearly identical to ordinary coins, but their secret composition makes them worth over $1 million today. Pause for a moment. Think about the millions of 1965 quarters that changed hands through the years, in parking meters, vending machines, grocery store counters. One of them, maybe even a few, slipped through unnoticed. They looked the same, felt the same, but they were worth more than a lifetime of paychecks. Here's the first clue: weight. Regular 1965 quarters are made of copper nickel and weigh about 5.67 grams. But the silver ones? They weigh closer to 6.25 grams. That tiny difference could be the signal that you're holding a fortune in your hand. And here's another secret: the edge. Take a look at the rim of your coin. If you see an orange or brown stripe running around it, that's copper, meaning it's a standard coin. But if the edge is solid silver all the way around, with no trace of copper color, you might be looking at something extraordinary. Imagine the rush, the disbelief, the adrenaline when collectors discover what they've been holding for decades. There have been stories, real stories, of people cashing in their laundry change, only to find a 1965 silver quarter that changed their lives forever. Let that sink in. A coin that most people spend without thinking could be worth over $1 million. That's the kind of story that doesn't just belong in history books. It could belong to you. But let's go deeper. In 1965, the U.S. Mint was producing coins in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Yet, to hide where the coins were made and discourage hoarding, mint marks were completely removed that year. Every 1965 quarter you see will appear no mint mark. That makes identifying the rare silver strike even more challenging and even more thrilling. They look for silver composition, accurate weight, and a distinct sound. That's right, the ping test. A silver quarter has a higher, clearer ring when gently tapped compared to the dull clink of copper-nickel coins. Collectors have spent years searching rolls, checking jars, weighing coins, and dreaming of finding that one special piece. Every time someone finds a silver 1965 quarter, it reignites the legend of a mistake so rare, so accidental, that it turned an everyday coin into a treasure worth over $1 million. Now, let's reset for a moment. You're sitting at home, maybe with an old coffee can full of coins your parents saved. You start to sort through them, quarters from the 70s, 80s, 90s. And then you spot it. A 1965 quarter. No mint mark. It looks normal, but something about it feels different. Heavier, maybe shinier. Your hands start to shake as you think, could this be it? Your mind races. You grab a scale. The number flickers, 6.25 grams. You hold your breath. The edge is silver, not copper. You tap it lightly and hear that bright, ringing tone. You just found a coin worth $1.7 million. Collectors call it the silver transition error. It happened during the changeover from silver to copper-nickel planchets. A few old blanks got stuck in the machinery and were struck with the new date. These coins shouldn't exist, but they do. And that's what makes them so valuable. Think about the irony. In 1965, the government wanted to make coins cheaper, but by accident, they created one of the most expensive quarters in history. The same coin people once spent on gumballs or payphones is now worth more than a mansion. Every serious collector dreams of that discovery. And yet, this story isn't just about money. It's about history, mystery, and the thrill of possibility. Because every coin you hold has a story, and sometimes that story changes your life. Now imagine the day you take that coin to an expert. They look through the magnifier, test the weight, verify the metal, and then look up with wide eyes. They tell you what you already suspect. It's real. You're holding a piece of American history. You're holding a fortune. You could sell it at auction, where collectors from around the world bid fiercely for a chance to own it. Or you could keep it, knowing you possess something so rare that only a handful of people in the entire world can say they have one. But here's what makes this story even more powerful. Nobody knows exactly how many 1965 silver quarters are still out there. Maybe just a few. Maybe dozens. Maybe one of them has been sitting in a drawer for 50 years, waiting for someone to finally look close enough. This is your invitation to look closer. Pull out those old coin jars. Dig through your change. Check the edges. Weigh them. Listen to their ring. Because the 1965 no mint mark Washington quarter isn't just a coin. It's a chance, a symbol, A reminder that even ordinary things can hold extraordinary value. People spend their lives searching for opportunities worth $1 million. But sometimes, opportunity doesn't look like gold or luxury. It looks like an old quarter that's been overlooked for decades. The world's most valuable discoveries often hide in plain sight. And who knows? The next great treasure could be sitting right in front of you, waiting for you to notice. The 1965 no-mint Mark Washington quarter, a simple coin that became a legend, a mistake that turned into a miracle, a reminder that history is full of hidden fortunes, and they don't always announce themselves. Sometimes, you just have to look closer. So the next time you pick up a quarter, don't just spend it. Study it. Feel its weight. Listen to its story. Because one day, that small piece of metal could rewrite your destiny.